So hey, how's it going? This is Dave from Cherry. We're going to continue our setup of our supply items by adding the language of the measuring units that we need for the software to be able to work with these products in the order guides. And rather than tell you about it, we'll go ahead and just kind of show you what we're talking about. So in this step, you'll see what we're looking to add are 3 different measuring units. The first one is called the PMU, or Process Measuring Unit. The second one we refer to as the LCU, or Lowest Common Unit. And then we have the Supplier Delivery Unit, or SDU. And that's how it's coming through the door. So probably it's easiest just to explain them in reverse. The Supplier Delivery Unit, for example, wings, they come in a case. Turkey, you might get that in as a single chub or as a case, so it depends on your operation. It's how does the product come in your door on the invoice. If it's onions, it could possibly be in a bag. 50-pound bag, 25-pound bag, it doesn't matter, it's still a bag. So the SDU is how does it come through your door. The LCU is typically going to be a measuring unit within the case or bag. So for example, if you look at your order guide, your wings typically come 40, if they're fresh wings, 40 pounds inside a case. So the lowest common unit inside that delivery unit is going to be a pound. And that's how we're going to compare the price. Really what this unit is, how we're going to compare the price across your supplier's order guides. And that allows us, in some situations, I have one customer that gets meatballs from one company in a 10-pound delivered case, and from another company he gets them in a 12-pound delivered case. Well, Cherry doesn't really care about how it's coming through the door. When it comes to the pricing, it's going to look at the pound, which is what we're telling it to do right here. And the last measuring unit that we're going to talk about is called the Process Measuring Unit. And this is how you use it in prep or in turn in recipes that result from the prep. So this is what's going on the plates or in the boxes or bags that you're selling your products. And typically this will be something like ounces, or in this situation wings would be count. So you have them coming in as a delivered case, and they are a common unit, a pound, priced, and then when you use them by the count, like 6 to 8 count, typically for a jumbo wing. So what we need to do is fill in this whole sheet. And the best way to go about doing it, and the reason I haven't been filling these in as I've been talking to you about it, is it's best and easiest to fill it in doing one column at a time. And the reason is we have these cool little green arrows to help us fill in like information down the page. And what I mean is this. So for example, wings. On a plate, we look at them by the count. So here. Now if this were count, I could use this arrow in theory and cut, well here, it'll actually work better on this next item. When we use turkey in the restaurant in our recipes, we are looking at it by the ounce. So here's ounce, and then there's a whole bunch of products here that are going to be by the ounce on a plate in a row. So I can use this green arrow and click. And everything underneath that arrow from this field down changes to that value. So then all I need to do is scroll down the list here and find out where it's no longer ounce. So I can keep going. This is still ounce, ounce, ounce. Now American cheese. It could be ounce, but typically when you're using this in the kitchen, using it in menus, you're usually doing it by the slice or the count. So you can call it whichever you like. I choose to call it count in my restaurant. If you want to call it a slice, call it a slice. It's up to you. And we'll continue down the list. So that moves back to ounce, so I don't have to change anything down, and I just keep going. And pickle spears, we usually use those by the count. So you can see I'm going to continue all the way down the list. and then what I'll do is I'll stop talking now and I'll speed the video up so you can watch what I'm doing, and if you want to look at any of the items I have here and then refer to your own restaurant, of course you can. And you can even give value to your paper goods in your recipes. So later on, when we have the feature where we're putting together your ideal cost of goods on, say, a to-go item, if you wanted to include the cost of a few toothpicks and napkins and forks and knives and everything into that plate cost, you can do so as a part of Cherry. So you just have to put here in the process, how am I going to use it when I give it to the customer? Something like thermal paper. Well, these are rolls that have inches inside them. So when I use the product, we're going to measure them by the inch. And yes, we can bring the cost of everything into focus for your restaurant. You can see here I'm into paper goods, and there's going to be strings of counts on this because that's how they're used as individual pieces. Even something like toilet paper. You may laugh, but Cherry can bring the costing of that all the way down to the sheet if you need to. On cleaning products, you can assign amounts by the ounce, and later in our development we are bringing in where you can put together costs of procedures. So even things like costs involved with cleaning a particular piece of equipment, you'll be able to build just like a menu. And don't worry about if you choose something and later you want to change it. Just like everything in Cherry, it's flexible. Nothing's set in stone here. Okay, so there's one column. Now we're going to go ahead and move up to the top of the other next column. And the reason that I tell you to go column by column is there's a button here that says Save and Continue Later. So if you get busy or something happens and you want to save your information and not lose it, you can click that and then come back to the dashboard, and it should bring you back to this right where you've left off here. So here we go now. Wings are delivered, they're costed by the pound. Like I said, this is going to be how do you want to break this down price-wise. So I'm going to scroll down now to where pound stops. And romaine hearts typically are by the count. Now here you can see where something as a smaller packaged item like basil comes in a 1 pound bunch. The usage and the cost measurement can be the same thing. So that does not have to be different. Now even something like here, margarine, because they're always the same size jugs in our restaurant, if I want to cost them by jug, I can certainly do that. If I want to, I could put gallon. It's up to you. Typically with paper goods, you're going to end up having the measuring units for process and money both be the same. Now with things like thermal rolls, Not everybody has the exact same size roll, so unless you know that your distributors have the same number of inches in a roll, you don't want to cost it by the roll. Literally, you can bring this down and Cherry can cost it for you in the setup of the item by the inch. And it would be a much smarter way to do that because the case sizes can be significantly different on some of these items that you might not even consider significant. And then the last column obviously is the delivery unit. This is typically the fastest one, usually either case, bag, or bundle. Okay, so there's the end. So when you hit the bottom of the list, go ahead and click Update. And this is where we will end this video. You will see at this point now you have the PMU, the LCU, and the SDU measurements all filled in on your items page. Just so you can see, you can always access the items page here. The drop down is the same as the dashboard. I like to refer people back, but if you ever want to get back there and make an adjustment to one of those measurement items, all you need to do is come here and click it, and you can change the choice you made at that time. So don't be worried if you make a decision that you don't want to live with. You don't have to. This is Cherry, which means it's flexible. So we're going to go ahead and end this video now, and we will start with having you come back to the dashboard, and your next video will begin with adding additional details to your items. And you'll do that by clicking this video icon, watching the video, and then doing the work. So good luck with your setup. Get in contact with us if you have any questions.